with us many years. They're back. Oh, thank you, Maddie. I think we're now recording the rest of this. That's all right. I'm not sure why we didn't want to record the new sponsors, but that's okay. So anyway, welcome to the community. We're glad to have you here and get you engaged. There's been a number of cool things happening in our community, and I want to highlight a few of them. I'm certain we don't have everything. So if there's something cool happening in your organization, we want to hear about it in a moment. But Crosscom has been a partner for a number of years. They do amazing work in the AR, VR, XR space. They also do, mobile and web and other kind of development projects. But one of their most recent projects won 3 Telly Awards for kind of engagement and interaction with underrepresented demographics, helping them get into STEM fields and have real experiences using augmented and mixed reality technology. So congratulations, Crosscom, on that win. Not to be outdone, the Network for Entrepreneurs in Wilmington, for those that know Jim Roberts, he drives a lot of entrepreneurial activity all across the state, but he's been focused a lot in Wilmington recently, worked with PBS with some support from NC IDEA on a documentary series, about the entrepreneurship scene in Wilmington and how it's growing and how it's serving, different communities and some underserved communities. And that won 3 Emmys. So we've got 3 Tellys, we've got 3 Emmys in the community. That's really, really exciting. I'm going to ask Jen to talk a little bit about some of our other sponsor successes.
Yeah, our sponsor Acceleration has been named the 2022 Best of Technology Employer by the Montgomery, Virginia County Chamber's Best Places to Work program. This initiative recognizes businesses that embrace innovative employment and leadership practices. So congratulations, Acceleration.
Really cool stuff.
Hey everybody, Rachel Newberry. Always keeping you connected to what's happening in the startup space. So in terms of some alumni of our RIoT Accelerator program, we've got a few kind of recent success stories. ClearSense up top, they just were awarded their phase 2 STTR grant. So they're continuing technology development on a solution that is helping divers to monitor oxygen. Be Global Safety, manufacturing safety software. They recently finished up with a Techstars program based out of Knoxville. That program is focused on the future of manufacturing and is a new Techstars program. So congrats to Nile. TSV Analytics is participating in the Andrews Accelerator with NC State this summer. They just finished up in our Wilson cohort in the spring, and they have concluded a number of pilots with great partners, big brands like Peloton on their docket. So doing really great work in the social media analytics space. Acta Solutions won Idea Fest, which is the Launch Places pitch competition earlier this year. Acta is working on natural language processing and helping local governments to understand trends in their community. Hire Henry, our lovely robotic lawnmower friends, they just completed a pilot with Stafford County up in Virginia with the test bed where Jennifer sits. And finally, Clinispan Health, they also came through our Wilson cohort earlier this year, and they reached their revenue targets for the year about 2 quarters ahead of schedule. So they're doing great work, driving good business, and they are focused on diversifying clinical studies. So a lot of really interesting, diverse work happening in the startup ecosystem, lots of little wins along the way, and we hope to keep bringing you the growth stories from our RAP alumni.
Awesome. Thanks, Rachel. Hey, everyone. Great to see you all online. So with all of those stories that we just shared, we'd love to hear from you. We know there's more stories out there that we don't hear about as often. So please, I invite you to unmute yourself, anybody in the room, to share a little bit about what you're working on, but we just want to take this moment to hear from you all. Success stories? Any success stories? I know you all are wonderful, successful companies, so I know someone has something to say.
Launched an app that was endorsed by the governor with a nonprofit called NCPCP, and it's to really link educators within school systems with with like professionals who can come in and teach them skills, at different tech companies, different groups. And they just did like an app competition with Lenovo. But that's the sort of organization they're trying to partner with, bring those people into the classrooms and teach students about different careers. And we built a product that helps them do that.
Very cool.
Very
Thanks so much
cool.
for sharing, Kyle. Anybody online?
Hey, I'm Mike Steele with the Tiroli Law Firm.
Hey, Mike.
Hi, we got a patent allowed. It was the very first patent for a company that I don't think is associated with RIoT anymore, but they were at the time. Secure Edge Networks in Charlotte. But yeah, we just got them their first patent, and through one of our lunch and learns is how we met them. So it was great.
Very cool, Mike.
Really cool. They were
Awesome.
RAP cohort number 1.
There you go. So
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Mike. We appreciate it. Anybody else out there?
All right. In general, as you have product launches, as you have, cool customer success stories, exciting things, let us know in real time. We'll help promote those things on social. We certainly want to look at, how can those kind of things drive new relationships, drive partnerships and so on. So
Thanks. Tom.
thanks. So we'll move on. So there's Frank down in the corner. As I said, unfortunately, he's not here, but I'll talk a little bit about some of what's been happening out in Wilson because it's been an exciting year. We just finished our 3rd cohort of the RIoT Accelerator in Wilson. It was actually RAP 10, which is a pretty cool milestone. We had a number of companies that you see here on the screen that went through that program. One of the things that was exciting about this program is that we finally got back to doing some in-person pitches and bringing people together. We combined that with the Giggy Summit, which is an annual technology conference that's held out in Wilson every year. Tracked was one of the teams that we had worked with that won this particular event. It was exciting because we'd had a couple of cohorts of RAP where we weren't able to do this kind of an event. So we were able to bring teams from multiple cohorts together, kind of competing head to head. It's very exciting. But in general, just the things that are happening in Wilson, you've heard this before if you've been on these calls before. It's phenomenal, the kind of growth that they're having. We're talking right now to a cybersecurity company who has relocated their founder and a significant part of their staff from Washington State to Wilson. And how cool is that when you think about kind of the tech scene and even the smaller communities in North Carolina are competing with Seattle and places that you think of as being a tech hub. So it's cool to see the activity out there. Get out to the Giggy Exchange, work from the space, spend the day. Let us know if you'll be out there. We can introduce you around to folks. It's really cool space. Jen, I'll let you talk a little bit about strong growth in Virginia.
Yeah, folks, we are off and running, growing quickly and moving quickly in Virginia. We helped out with the Launch Places Idea Fest in Danville. 71 applications were received for their 7th Idea Fest pitch competition with various startups located in the US and abroad, all competing in this competition. We also are helping the Launch Place kick off their podcast, which we'll be promoting on our social channels, so be on the lookout for that. We also have kicked off RAP 11, which is our first cohort in Stafford in April. That will be concluding in July. We have 7 cool teams in this cohort, and we're really excited about them. We also just celebrated the first anniversary of the Virginia Smart Community Testbed, which is where I'm located. And I'm happy to give you all the information about the cool tech that's happening in the testbed.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jennifer.
And coming up in the programs world, we've got a couple things kicking off later this year. So we started the RIoT Foundations program as a 6-week intensive program to support idea stage entrepreneurs. So folks that are a little bit earlier on in their startup journey than those coming through our accelerator. So we're running a number of these programs in Stafford currently. And registration is open. So through about the end of this month, businesses in the Virginia area is really who we're looking for to bring through that 6-week course. And then as far as RAC goes, we've got 2 more cohorts this year. So we are launching our next Raleigh cohort at the end of July. We are just about ready to announce that cohort, and we're excited for you all to get to know those teams. So look out on our social channels. That'll be coming up in the next few weeks. And then finally, we'll run a Stafford cohort of the Accelerator program in the fall. We are looking for applications this summer. So if you know entrepreneurs, they don't have to be located in Virginia. These programs are diverse across industry sector, founders and their background, and certainly geography as well. So any startups that you know of that are ready to go to market, please direct them to that application.
Yeah, and I'll share, right now we got a team with the core teams in Brazil. Last cohort, we had a team from South Africa. So, this is a program for folks can participate from anywhere in the world. And many of the teams then locate in the regions that we're working in. So the Brazilian team, for instance, their founder is right here in the Triangle now. So exciting things, and to get engaged. I'll also make a quick plug that we do accept corporate teams into the program. So if you're working in a company trying to figure out how are we going to launch kind of in a new area we've never worked at before, we're going to build out a new business unit, or maybe we want to try and do something that's not just the normal evolutionary process of our company, but do something that's really new and innovative, and you want an outside set of kind of views to kind of poke holes and ask the hard questions and interrogate and help you to move forward faster and to validate your market opportunity. We would love to have you consider using this tool in the toolbox.
Back to me. We've also had a lot of fun international engagement over the last few months, and that's both hosting folks here at RIoT Labs in Raleigh, as well as going out to conferences abroad. So recently we've hosted Enterprise Singapore and Business France, talking about how we can help startups to access these different markets. We've worked with folks in Brazil, of course, Invest Hong Kong. We're excited to have as a formal part of our ecosystem now. So a lot of great partners. And then more recently, Tom and I had a chance to visit the Schema campus in Paris, France, and talk about deeper collaboration with their International Business School. And then we also attended IoT Solutions World Congress in Barcelona in May, where Nicole Raimondo with the town of Cary and I gave a talk on government innovation. So a lot of great things happening on an international scale. Most recently, yesterday, Raleigh Founded and RIoT hosted a group from Luxembourg. So we're talking to startups all over the world on how to tap into the US market, and also vice versa, get our startups in our regions connected to international markets. So exciting work. If you're interested in these kinds of international relationships, please do let us know.
Thank you, Rachel. A little bit closer to home, we have a number of areas where we're really driving new initiatives. So there's no let up in our efforts in Wilson or in Stafford or across the Triangle. We've done a lot of work. You see Charlotte on the screen here. We've done a lot of work in Charlotte over the years. We have a very large community in the area, but we have some new relationships that we're incubating in the cities that you see here and in the kind of the surrounding regions around those cities. And so the reason I bring this up, some of the projects are not projects we can discuss publicly yet. Some of them are not finalized. They may or may not happen, but we're in kind of team building mode. So if your organization has a specific interest in one of these geographies, or you have resources to potentially leverage or partners that we should be speaking with, please let us know. All of the discussions in this area are related to some combination of entrepreneurial support and entrepreneurial ecosystem building, kind of growing the community that's here online in the room with us around the things that we do. And also some new kind of more nascent efforts in workforce development that we'll talk about a little bit more here in a moment. So anyway, please, if you're active in these areas, if you want to find a way to get involved in these areas, either through your organization or even as a volunteer in some way, please reach out to us, drop us a note in the chat, or by email or come down to the lab and visit, however you like. But the workforce development item that I mentioned a moment ago is something that we call Digital Bridge. And this is a new initiative of WRC, which is our parent company, if you will. The nonprofit has WRC at the top. We operate the Wireless Research Center, the RIoT initiative, and then something we call Connected Communities, of which this Digital Bridge project is our latest initiative. We are piloting first in Wake Forest, North Carolina, a program where we have located the initial a physical place in the low-income quadrant of Wake Forest, trying to help people where they are in place to build digital skills through certification programs. And every person that comes through the program, and the reason that Frank is not here right now is actually he is meeting and coaching individually with folks. There's been so much demand that we had to excuse him from this meeting to go and continue to serve folks that are interested in saying, how can I get in 2, 3, 4 months a level of digital certification that I can work one of the 3.5 million jobs that are available in the United States right now to be worked from home at starting salaries around $50,000, $60,000, maybe $75,000, where you don't need a college degree, but you can get into the tech sector. You can start and move from like a job to a career. When we think about RIoT's focus over the years, we have primarily been focused in 2 areas. One is just overall business development resources for sponsors, connecting to collaborators, to customers, to partners, helping you to drive revenue, drive your businesses, and entrepreneurial support, which is very much about helping people to become their own boss, to begin to build wealth through company ownership. Well, Digital Bridge is kind of a feeder into that wealth direction, starting with helping people to drive income through a better paying job, but then also a feeder to corporations that can post jobs on a digital platform, and we can meet people and individually train them to specific jobs. And so if you are a job owner, a corporation with job postings, we want to understand what those jobs are that can be done with these kind of like middle skill certification qualifications. If you are interested in being a volunteer in some way in the community, helping to be a mentor or coach to somebody going through a program, we're interested in that. If you know people that they don't have to physically be in Wake Forest necessarily, but are interested in getting some training, we'd love to work people through. We launched this in April, so it's a fairly new venture, and we are discussing expanding this program into other communities, at least one of which was on that previous slide. So we're excited to have this project up and rolling. So, and there was the ask slide that Frankie pulled together. So let's take a pause from kind of some of the things that have happened. And Maddie, do we have any questions about that in the chat or otherwise at the moment? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about some things that are on the way. So we have a number of events. We're doing things back in person again. We still have virtual participation options, and we have some virtual programming as well, but we are ready to be back in person. If you remember from past calls, we did some online polling and other things, and overwhelming, everybody was ready to be back in person. So that's very exciting. So we've got a number of programs. Jen, I'm going to ask you to start by talking about some of the education stuff.
Hey folks, so we are actively hosting our Lunch and Learn series, as well as adding a happy hour series in Virginia. Tomorrow we will have a virtual Lunch and Learn with Max Edwint. Please forgive me if I mispronounced your last name. A business lawyer at Foursquare Business Law, to learn about the types of court agreements to support your business. Thursday, join us for an in-person happy hour with Spanalytics as they show off their new wireless intrusion detection system. I hear it's going to be really cool. I already have like lots of cords going around to set it up, so it's going to be a live demonstration. Really awesome. Please come up and join us for this in-person happy hour. And finally, we have open spots for both our lunch and learn and happy hours. So contact myself or Maddie to sign up for any of these, and we can give you those dates and times to get you plugged in.
Thank you, Jen. And this is got a lot of momentum. We've had strong momentum through the entire pandemic on the virtual versions of these. We're excited to layer on some of the in-person ones, as Jen mentioned, but in the past, for our longtime sponsors, a lot of this was stuff that Caroline was driving. And so just as a reminder, we don't want any of the momentum to drop off. Reach out to myself, to Jen, to Maddie, to anyone on our team, and we'll make sure to keep filling the calendar. Some of our near-term dates are already booked up, but we have plenty of room in the calendar for both virtual and in-person stuff during the year.
Back to me to talk about our next RIoT happening in Virginia. Our first RIoT happening in Virginia is our supply chain event focused on the microchip highway. We're really excited to host this event on June 28th at 5:30. It's at Adventure Brewing in Stafford. Really cool venue, really great beer. Hope you all can come out and make it. We're going to hear from a couple of different supply chain-esque people to talk about how the supply chain has affected their business. Really excited. If you guys have any questions or issues signing up, please feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, and I'll ask as well, many of us have networks and connections that extend up into the Northern Virginia region. And as we're building out the region, we're excited to have a number of partners involved, to have a local audience, but we really want to grow that. So please, if you can't attend in person, encourage your colleagues that are in that area to join. This is a really interesting topic, thinking about supply chain. When we first discussed, many months ago, doing an event around this, a lot of the conversation was around kind of the microchip challenges and what we were seeing and how that was affecting the automotive sector, for example. But now, we're seeing challenges with baby food. We're seeing challenges in all kinds of different areas. And the folks that are going to be speaking at this event are really going to talk not just about like what the challenge is, but what are creative ways to leverage technology, but also what are some creative business strategies for overcoming this issue. So pretty excited about the event. Thank you, Jen, for pulling this together, and we're going to have a good time June the 28th. In July, we have 2 different events that are going on. First, here down in the Triangle up in Wake Forest, there's a beautiful new facility that the loading dock has opened. If you haven't been there, it's gorgeous. We can put hundreds of people into this facility. We thought, what better place to look at some of the newest technologies, the metaverse, than one of the newest co-working spaces in the area. Bring folks together. We're going to have immersive demonstrations that you can only experience if you're there, with some of the headsets and things that we'll have available. We're also going to have some virtually delivered content from a partner up in Canada. We've got, I think, some really cool stories that you'll see here. We're going to talk about our thesis that, quite honestly, IoT is the foundation of the metaverse. And if you want to understand what I mean by that, come on out to the event. We look forward to having you there. That'll be the evening of July the 12th. The registration page is launched. We do have some exhibit spaces available as well for sponsors. If you'd like to exhibit that evening, let us know. We can get you in. And then July 26th, we're going to cross to the other side of the country and run our developer day. Folks who have been in the area maybe have been to a developer day in these parts. We did one back in earlier this spring over at Wake Tech Community College. This will be our first time running developer day out west. We're doing it on the headquarters of Aero Electronics in their open lab, which is Aero has been a great partner for many, many years. Denver South is the title sponsor for this event, so thank you to them. We've got 2 tracks of content that'll run during the day, along with a plenary keynote in the morning, and we look forward to seeing everybody out on Aero's campus. Unfortunately, this one, we are full up on speakers. The full agenda is baked out, but if there are other ways that you would like to participate, we have some sponsorship opportunities. And we're also going to organize outside the event some like networking socials at a local brewery or so on and so forth. So there will be opportunities, particularly if you know people out in the region, or maybe you have sales people for your organization that haven't worked with us before because they're not on the East Coast, we'd love to meet them, invite them out to participate. There's no cost to get involved and participate and just kind of meet and network. All right. We have done a lot in recent years partnering with national and international large format conference organizers. And we really like this because we can help bring you as RIoT sponsors into other events, many times with no additional cost to you, but still with an opportunity to speak, to share exhibit space with us. We have got a partnership with the Smart Cities Connect organization that is running a number of co-located events at the Gaylord facility up in Washington, D.C. in September. There's a cybersecurity one, there's a defense tech one, there's a smart cities one, there's a bunch of kind of co-located conferences, and we're helping to populate content. So if you are interested in speaking or joining a panel of some kind, let us know like what story you might want to tell. Can't promise that we can get it in, but we have some influence and we've got some slots available to fill. We'd love to get you involved. And then for those that are even more ambitious, we will be, we're planning to have a delegation of partners from the US that are going out to Barcelona in November for the Smart City Expo World Congress. This is a shared exhibiting opportunity in the US Pavilion at the show. And we have a limited number of speaking slots available with that. We have full conference passes, a number of other things. There is an additional cost to be part of this, but we've managed to kind of negotiate a group rate, if you will, to bring people along at a much lower cost than if you were to do that on your own. This particular opportunity is closing July 1st. We have a number of folks that are already signed up, but if you are interested in participating in the expo, let us know right away. We can share the details of how that works and how to get involved. And of course, if you're interested in the DC one, we'd also like to know that. Finally, if there are other kind of just events on either the national or international stage that are of particular interest, let us know through these relationships or others. We may be able to help populate content. And as many of you know, when you get a speaking slot, usually then the rest of your participation doesn't cost anything. Now, of course, you can pay for speaking slots as well, but oftentimes a nonprofit like us can kind of dodge that entry fee and find a cheaper way to get you involved. All right, questions about that? All right, I don't see anybody raise their hand. So, Maddie, I'm going to ask you to help bring us home.
Yes, thanks, Tom. Looking forward to all those exciting conferences, and hopefully everybody can join us. So as always, please follow us on social. We love to follow everyone back. It just helps us stay engaged with what you're doing. We are on every single platform, and yeah, so you can find us there. And just as a quick reminder, we do have an awesome Slack channel. So we post all of our events on here. We encourage you to post any job openings. We'll post our own as well, share exciting updates. But if you aren't on that Slack channel, please reach out and I will get you added very quickly. So I look forward to seeing you all September 20th at 4 p.m. I'll send out the calendar invite for that as well. And we hope to see a little bit more people in person, you know, drinks, appetizers, networking. It's all good fun, y'all. Cool. Well, we'll open the floor to any questions. Please feel free to unmute yourself and fire away.
Wonderful. Thanks, Maddie. For those in the room, I'm going to stop the screen share so we can maybe see those online and those in the room. But yeah, any feedbacks, thoughts? I have not been monitoring the chat. Comments. Who's in raise of hands with the electronic button or in the room? Who's in for Barcelona in November? Some interest, some head nods. That's okay.
I just got back.
Just got back. All right. Yep. Nice. Yeah, a lot of events there. We were at IoT World Congress about a month and a half ago ourselves. So it's a good spot. Michael Zimmerman, I saw the thumbs up. Appreciate it. Cool. What about like topic areas? As we start to architect out, you know, we've got events planned through the end of the year. We didn't talk about all things open in the fall. We've got some ag tech things that we're working on for the fall. But as we start to look at either market verticals or technology horizontals we should be addressing, anything front of mind for anybody that you'd like to see us, do some convening around and bring in some thought leadership? I heard a presenter say that you have to pause 6 seconds. If you wait 6 seconds and you stay like awkward silent that long, somebody will usually open their mouth. There it is.
Local government.
Yep, local government. I like that. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you mean by that? Like what aspect? That's a broad topic. And feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like, or you can just type into the chat.
Yeah, hey Tom, this is Kevin Taylor. Yeah, so I think that the smart cities buzzword is starting to maybe fade or fizzle out a little bit, but it doesn't diminish the fact that technology is a big part of local government, whether it be in their business office administration, operating systems, or IoT into the public right of way for some type of efficient delivery of services or improved livability, quality of life within communities. So that's kind of the focus areas for us, and where we focus is public safety, transportation mobility, and environmental sensing and monitoring. So those are kind of the three kind of use case buckets that we drop into.
Yeah, great comment, Kevin, and thanks for sharing that. I'll just share, just today, had a meeting with one municipality in North Carolina that is looking to leverage the RIoT Accelerator program to drive a new initiative that they're working on, and then had another conversation with another municipality that has a new CIO who's trying to wrap, they're trying to wrap their hands around smart cities, and had that exact conversation that it's really not smart anymore. It's just our city. And we have to be using data. We have to be using cameras. We have to be using analytics to be able to automate things that just are going to be expected to be automated. So this isn't a future thing that we're going to pilot some new tech. Like, this is happening right now, and we're entering into growth phase, and we need to figure out how to accelerate that.
Well, and even if we kind of step back from the technology for a minute, you guys work with a lot of municipalities. Is there a chance of putting together some type of working group that would say, hey, let's look at a framework for policy of technology and local governments, and how should we be basing decisions? How are we choosing where that technology goes? How long the data is stored for? Who has access to it? Things of that nature. I really don't see any type of publicly accepted framework like that. And programs that don't have some type of policy framework tend to be short-lived.
Yeah, great question. Let us dig into that a little bit. We had run some data sharing collaboration projects that we actually started pre-COVID, working on both a kind of a technical spec of what should a packet of data look like? How can you publish it? How can you subscribe to it? A little bit of everything opt-in, so governments can choose to use it or not, but to kind of start to drive towards a little bit of standardization in that sense. But then also some like public data rights agreements. What do those look like? What's the appropriate use of data, and other kinds of things that are a little bit more on that piece of the policy side. And so there might be a little bit of a foundation that we can build from in that regard. I'll reach out individually to start driving a little bit more conversation around that, and then welcome anybody else that's interested in getting engaged in that conversation. Shoot us a note and we'll include you.
Awesome, thank you.
Cool, thanks. Other thoughts? Super. I don't know if I can go 6 seconds of silence. So that's too much even for me. But well, then I'm going to thank everybody for being here. Oh, I think I just saw Al. Yes, we'll include you, Al.
Yep. Thanks.
But
if it's okay, Tom, I'll send you something. We're using something with another municipality in Florida. I'll send it over. If you can get it to Kevin, he might take a look at that, and feel free to share my contact information on how we're utilizing that. But that could be something that it's at least a framework that they start from and to get a certification with. So I'll share that, and hopefully that'll help Kevin as well.
Cool. Wonderful. And by the way, since you just mentioned Florida, Anybody that's going to be at IoT Evolution next week, just drop an acknowledgement in the chat or something like that. We're going to be sending out a note. We know a lot of our partners are going to be there. A lot of them are speaking at the event. But if you're going to be in the area next week, and I know Al, you'll be there, we want to help you to meet each other in person at that event. And we'll be sending out a note before the end of this week with a time and meeting place for anybody that would like to just show up, after some of the talks are done one day for a happy hour. We'd love to have people get together. So be on the lookout for that. I think we know most of the people that'll be there, but you just never know. So if you haven't already been talking to us about that, shoot us a note so we can make sure to include you in those local festivities in Fort Lauderdale next week, which might be actually not as hot as it is here in Raleigh. We'll see. All right. Wonderful. Well, anyone who,
one quick question, so maybe a little bit off topic, and so I apologize if you're already doing this, but do you have an event calendar that you put out that is maybe looking out, I don't know, 12, maybe even 18 months into the future, just for planning purposes?
So great question, Dave. We have a shorter horizon event calendar on the kind of the events tab of our website, but usually we don't publish those events until we have registration pages and things. For longer term planning, we actually capture that in our partnership deck, which people get when they start a sponsorship. They can see at least 12 months out, but we don't always do a good job of updating you on the longer view, say 9 months into an annual sponsorship, for example. So let us take that as an action to figure out what's a better way to communicate some of those events outside of this call, which we always try and talk kind of into the distance.
Yeah.
So you have that. Yeah, that's good feedback.
Yeah, I only bring it up simply because for planning purposes for us, right? Like it takes a little bit of time for us to wrap our heads around things sometimes. So we're not always as quick to jump as perhaps, but if we have some more time to think about things and look out and plan for them, it just may be easier for us to pull the trigger on some things.
No, that's fantastic. And from the point of view of some of the bigger partner conferences, 18 months is easy. From our point of view, we try to always have 12 months in advance from the RIoT produced events. We'd like to go further, but quite honestly, we don't know what the right tech topics are going to be 18 months from now. But that doesn't mean we can't put at least some geographies and some calendar dates as placeholders. And then as we get closer, we start to say, well, what is the specific story that we want to explore at that event? So yeah, it's great feedback. Thank you.
I would say like 8 months is really probably sufficient, but 12 months is awesome to kind of like plant the seeds sometimes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Super. Any other feedback from in the room before we start pouring more of the beers, and then the feedback will come, right? Fantastic. All right. Well, thanks everybody. We'll give the last 17 minutes back from this meeting. For those that were online, I appreciate you joining. Come visit us in the lab or visit us online. We'd love to connect and catch up with everybody, and thanks for the support. All right. Thanks, everybody.